Welcome back, everyone. I want to talk today about the number one pick in the NFL draft and how there's really only a couple of teams at this point that are likely to get it, and what I think maybe they want to do with that pick. We have the Giants. They have remaining on their schedule the Falcons, the Colts, the Eagles, and the Ravens, I think. And it's a fairly tough schedule. I don't see them really winning any of those games except maybe the Falcons if they really want to, but at this point I don't think they're particularly trying to win. No, they came close last week against the Saints, had that blocked field goal that, if had that field goal been good, they would have played themselves out of the number one pick. And where does a win get you at this point in the year? You're eliminated from the playoffs. I mean, all it's going to do is make you have a worse draft pick and, set you up for failure next year. So, then we got the Raiders, and they have remaining the Chargers. They also play the Falcons. The Saints, and the Jaguars, who won last week. The Jaguars won and kind of played themselves out of that number one pick. Still going to get a very high pick probably, but not number one, which you would think if the Jaguars were number one, maybe they'd want to take Travis Hunter, play corner probably, play some wide receiver. Maybe even get him out on kick returns or something. But, he's just a dynamic player. He can do really anything. But if you're the Giants or the Raiders, you're probably taking a quarterback number one. Probably Shedeur Sanders. You could take Cam Ward. He's maybe not quite as NFL ready. And I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is good, but he's maybe more accurate. But it's not a strong quarterback class. And if you're the Giants at this point, are you just doing the same thing you did with Daniel Jones? You kind of tanked a year. You let Daniel Jones go, which you probably could have won some games with Daniel Jones. Maybe not necessarily got back into a playoff position, but maybe close even, because there's definitely some of these games they could have won if they had Daniel Jones and not somebody else. Say what you want about him, but he's an okay quarterback, not elite, maybe not even great, but he's okay. And some of these other quarterbacks they have playing are not real great. At least with Daniel Jones, he is fairly athletic. He can run a little bit and, try to extend the plays and things. But, are you just going to the draft now and you're going to take, another quarterback that's kind of okay, maybe not, a generational prospect like maybe a Caleb Williams or, Stroud's been really good. We look at like Bryce Young and he's kind of looked better the last couple of weeks, but, the Giants, do they want to spend the time on a quarterback that, really needs some time to develop probably? And you look at the Raiders, and it's kind of the same thing. They had Derek Carr. He, they kind of split ways there. He's on the Saints now. And they really haven't had a quarterback since. Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell. These are not really guys that do it for you. They're not, elite quarterbacks. They're not really who you want under center. And I do think that the Raiders, A guy like Cam Ward, he's maybe a little more athletic than Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders, maybe not the biggest runner either, but I think that the Raiders are in a similar boat. They need a quarterback, but they also need maybe another playmaker later down in the draft, maybe another receiver. They've got Brock Bowers. He's really good. But, you lost Devontae Adams. You need somebody to, you're not going to replace Devontae Adams, but you need somebody to kind of pick up some of that slack, kind of, have some production and, make up for the fact that you did lose a top receiver. And, we can talk about the Jaguars, too, a little bit. They're probably going to end up with, the third pick. And who knows who they're going to take. But they, winning, have basically handed the pick to the Giants or the Raiders. The Raiders just need to lose to the Jaguars, and then the other games are probably going to be, tough enough that maybe they don't win anyway. But they're struggling. They've got an interim coach who, the Raiders, they have an interim coach who maybe they shouldn't have hired. The guys in the locker room liked him, but I don't know that he was really qualified for the job. I don't know if he was really ready to be a head coach. Of course, they've had a lot of trades. They've lost Devontae Adams. He wanted out. They've had a lot of issues. They've had some injuries. And I just think that, they're not in a position for success. It's probably going to take, a good couple of drafts and really working free agency well to put them in a position for success. Because right now they're not there. And same thing with the Giants. The Giants, if they had a halfway decent quarterback, and they need a running back too. They lost Saquon Barkley. He's gone, and you don't have the run game that you had before, because you look at just a couple of years ago, they were in the playoffs. And what was it, 2021? Or was it 2022? They won a playoff game against, I think it was Minnesota. And, you just need a good defense and serviceable offense. It doesn't have to be amazing, but you got to be able to put some points up on the board. And, you can make a playoff game. You can win a couple of playoff games maybe. Maybe try to get yourself in the Super Bowl. You look at the Ravens in, 2000? You look at some of those other teams that have won the Super Bowl with really good defenses. You look at the Broncos, the last year Peyton Manning was there. But I just think that these teams, I think the Giants are more set up to succeed with how good their defense is. If they can just get a serviceable quarterback, maybe a running back who's okay, and, just kind of develop their receivers, maybe get one more receiver. But the Raiders are in a much tougher position, and I think it's the coaching, because they've got some great players on defense. Offensively, there's a lot of work to do for the Raiders, though. So I've rambled long enough. If you've stuck around this long, go ahead, subscribe if you like the video. If you want to see more of this, I've done a couple of these videos like this now. I'm starting to do a few more. So if you want to see more of that, subscribe. Leave a comment. Who you think the Giants and the Raiders are going to take, maybe even the Jaguars. Anything else you want to say? But that's going to do it for now. I will see you in the next one. Have a good day.